Discover the miraculous journey of Miriam, God's inspiring prophetess, sister, and divine leader. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the descendants of Jacob were huddled in despair, crushed beneath the heavy burdens of slavery in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh's heart, hardened by power, unleashed a merciless decree: every Hebrew boy born must be cast into the Nile. Hope seemed lost in a land where sorrow echoed through the cries of bereaved mothers. Amidst this oppression, there stood a courageous young girl, Miriam, sister of Moses, with a heart aflame with faith. Miriam clutched her baby brother close, a fragile bundle of life, knowing the relentless tide of fear threatened him. Each lament resonated with her own anguish, igniting a resolve within her that could only come from trust in Yahweh. Dreaming of salvation amidst the chaos, her nimble mind crafted a daring plan. She collected bulrushes, adeptly weaving a basket, and secured it with pitch, ensuring that her beloved brother would be sheltered on the waters of the Nile. As the pallor of dawn painted the horizon, Miriam entrusted Moses to the river's embrace. Her pulse quickened, prayers escaped her lips, mingling with the gentle lull of the water. Peering from her hiding place among the reeds, every breath felt like an eternity, stretching out in reverence and anticipation. The river sparkled under the sun, like the glint of hope itself. Suddenly, the daughters of Pharaoh appeared, elegant as royalty, their laughter contrasting sharply with the plight of her people. When the princess reached for the basket, a tremor of divine intervention sparked in Miriam's heart, and she held her breath, knowing the fate of her brother rested in the balance. Years passed, and the boy she saved grew strong, destined to challenge the very mechanisms of oppression. Miriam watched the mighty hand of Yahweh at work as plagues swept through Egypt, signs and wonders pronounced through her brother. And when the day of Exodus dawned, oh, how her heart soared! As the waters parted before them like a tapestry woven by divine hands, Miriam took her place as prophetess, her voice soaring above the people's chants. Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Yet shadows danced on the edges of her triumph. Concern prompted her to speak against Moses, questioning burdens he bore in leading their people. Unbeknownst to her, this discontent stirred not only human hearts, but the very displeasure of the Lord. Struck with leprosy, Miriam found herself cast out, her spirit heavy with questions, her connection to the community severed. The irony of a healer now in need of healing. Outside the camp, a profound silence engulfed her, causing her soul to wrestle with leadership, humility, and covenant loyalty. Unraveled, she pondered her role in God's divine story. Was there redemption beyond her fall? There, in the solitude of loss, her faith flickered, igniting once more a resolve to understand her purpose. Would she glimpse the grand tapestry of grace woven for her and her people? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful stories from Scripture. Hit the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed by how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As moments turned to days, and days turned to weeks, Miriam's heart still beat with faith, trembling before the God who intended her to be part of his unfolding plan. Would she find her way back among the throng of her people? The memory of her song lingered, a testament to the power of the Almighty. The tapestry of redemption awaited, full of threads yet to be woven, as she sought her place within the divine mystery. Her spirit yearning for the promise of deliverance that only Yahweh could provide. Days blended into nights, and Miriam sat beneath the shade of the arid trees, her heart a turbulent sea of longing and sorrow. Each rustle of leaves seemed to whisper tales of her beloved brother's triumph over Pharaoh, yet she felt ensnared in the web of her own making, the weight of her transgression pressing upon her spirit. As the sun reached its zenith, a shadow fell across her path. It was Aaron, her brother, and the voice of her heart's ache. He approached with a solemnity born of compassion, for he had felt the pang of her distress. "My sister," he spoke, his voice trembling like the softness of a lullaby, "the people suffer without you. They grieve not having your guiding light. Miriam lifted her gaze, searching his eyes for assurance. "But am I not unclean, cast out, and forsaken?" she inquired, her voice a mere whisper against the weight of the truth. Aaron knelt beside her, taking her hand in his own. "The Lord desires to restore you," he said softly. "He has not forgotten the woman who sang of his glory." In that moment, a flicker of divine hope ignited within her. Remembering the unyielding love of Yahweh, her thoughts danced upon the firmness of his promises. "Could it be that he still has purpose for me?" she murmured, her heart swelling with renewed possibility. Just then, the air grew heavy with an unearthly silence, as if creation itself awaited a proclamation. From the heavens, a cloud enveloped them, and amidst the stillness came the voice of the Almighty, tender yet commanding. "Miriam, I have seen your affliction. I have heard your cries. Behold, I shall cleanse you of your leprosy, and you shall return to your people, to lead them in worship and remembrance." The words echoed in Miriam's soul, washing over her like the gentle tide of the Nile, and she found her knees upon the ground. "O Lord, you are gracious!" she exclaimed, a flood of tears completing her humble offering. "Your mercy is forever." As the cloud parted, Miriam felt warmth spread through her, filling the hollow void that isolation had carved within. Her skin, once stricken, was healed, radiant as the dawn's first light. With renewed hope, she stood, her spirit soaring above the chains of doubt. Turning to her brother, she declared, "Let us return. The people must know of his wondrous deeds. Let our voices unite once more in praise." Together, they journeyed back to the camp, and as they approached, the faces of their kin turned towards them in disbelief. Whispers rippled through the crowd, a wave of astonishment mingled with the echoes of her previous song. Confidently, Miriam ascended a stone, her presence invoking memories of faith and defiance. "Moses leads us, but I shall also take my rightful place as a vessel of praise." Her voice rang out into the air, strong and vibrant. "Sing to the Lord, for his mercy endures forever." A tide of voices erupted around her, lifting the veil of uncertainty. They remembered her song, the power that had emerged from it. They joined her, and a symphony of worship arose, mingling hope and remembrance. Even amidst their trials, they sang of deliverance, eyes fixed upon the promise of the God who heard their hearts' cries. Yet in the distance, a shadow loomed, and Miriam sensed the stirring of something great. "What is this presence engulfing us?" she wondered, a tremor in her faith yet eager to embrace the unfolding mystery. And as the songs rose higher, to the throne of the Most High, a flame ignited within her, for she sensed this was but the beginning. The moment had come for God's purpose to unfold in ways they could not yet fathom, beckoning them toward a destiny woven through His sovereign hand. What was to come would transcend their imaginations and challenge their faith in ways they had yet to understand. As the chorus of praise echoed through the camp, a palpable energy gripped the air, stirring deep within the hearts of the people. Fear and doubt began to dissipate like mist before the sun, replaced with an awakening, a call to hope and fervent faith. Miriam stood at the forefront, her eyes ablaze with purpose. "Let us recount the mighty works of the Lord," she declared, and the multitude fell silent, anticipation glimmering in their eyes. Miriam lifted her hands in supplication, and as she began to recount their deliverance from Egypt, memories of bondage bathed in the light of God's deliverance flowed. "He turned the waters of the Nile to blood, and the locusts came, yet He shielded us," she sang, her voice piercing through the fears that threatened to consume them. "In the night of our redemption, He passed over every door marked by the blood of the Lamb." The crowd stirred as the gravity of her words poured over them like oil, each sentence igniting remembrance of their journey, the plagues that Pharaoh had unleashed upon them, and the relentless pursuit that had nearly crushed their spirits. They recalled how the Red Sea had parted at Moses' command, a pathway carved by divine hand laid before them, leading to safety and new beginnings. Suddenly, a whisper rustled through the multitude, drawing attention toward the east. Those gathered looked up to see Moses, walking towards them with the staff of God in his hand. His countenance was marked by both strength and the weight of leadership. Miriam's heart raced with joy and reverence at the sight of her brother. "Moses!" she cried, and he nodded, acknowledging her presence and the people's unity. "The Lord has spoken to me. We are to prepare ourselves," he proclaimed, his voice steady yet imbued with solemnity. "He calls us to obey his commandments, for they will guide our journey in the wilderness." A buzz of excitement and trepidation rippled through the gathered children of Israel as they considered the weight of obedience. Yet amidst their fears, hope danced in their hearts. A covenant was unfolding before them, a promise veiled in the instructions of the Almighty, hidden yet inviting them into a divine relationship. As Moses spoke, he began to outline the laws and ordinances the Lord had given him upon Mount Sinai. Each word took root in the hearts of the people, nourishing their spirits, and uniting them under the banner of his truth. "You shall have no other gods before me," echoed through the gathering, the precepts instilling a sacred awe among them. Miriam could feel the power of divine purpose radiating among her people. "Let us bind ourselves to the Lord. His ways are higher than our ways, and his purposes will prevail," she called out, her voice a beacon of faith among them. The crowd responded with fervent cries of Amen and renewed commitment. Yet, as nightfall began to weave its inky blanket across the sky, a cloud settled above the camp, shrouded in a vibrant glow. All eyes were drawn upward, senses heightened with wonder. Miriam felt the stirring of the same presence she had sensed before, an assurance that something glorious was about to be revealed. Then, from the heart of the cloud, the voice of the Lord spoke once more, "I have chosen you as my people. I will not leave you nor forsake you as you walk this path I have set before you." The weight of his promise sank deep, a divine touch upon their hearts. Miriam's heart raced. She understood now that this was not merely obedience to laws, but an invitation into a covenant relationship, a testament of love that would guide them through trials yet unseen. With this revelation, a holy anticipation surged through her. For Miriam knew that the path ahead was fraught with challenges, yet she sensed in her spirit a promise entwined with victory. As they joined hands, voices rising together in a chorus of remembrance, hope, and surrender, a divine mystery lingered, a whisper that the journey they were on was not just physical, but a transformation of souls, leading toward a greater purpose. And she pondered the weight of the calling upon her life, for this was but the beginning of a story wrought by God's sovereign hand. What lay ahead would reveal not just their deliverance, but the very heart of God, unfolding in ways that would shake nations and call every heart to his unending grace. As the night deepened, the glow of the cloud illuminated the faces of the faithful, casting long shadows across the camp. The presence of the Lord enveloped them like a warm embrace, stirring within them the reverence that comes from knowing they were chosen. It was not by their strength but by his grace that they would forge ahead. Moses, feeling the weight of his leadership, raised his staff and proclaimed, "The Lord has revealed to me that we must gather the elders of Israel. They shall lead the people in preparation for what lies ahead. We are to build a sanctuary for the Lord, so that he may dwell among us." Excitement sparked in the hearts of many, as whispers of the holy sanctuary spread through the camp like wildfire. Miriam, drawing close to Moses, felt the pulse of divine purpose in her veins. "How shall we make this abode for the Almighty?" she questioned, her mind racing with the intricacies of the task. "The Lord will guide us in every detail," Moses assured her, his voice steady and full of conviction. And so, the elders gathered, a chorus of voices echoing their commitments to this sacred task. Under the blanket of stars, they shared visions of the sanctuary, its dimensions, its offerings, and the worship that would rise like incense before the throne of the Most High. As dawn broke, a tender light unveiled the vastness of the wilderness surrounding them, and with it came the realization that their journey was just beginning. Each step would be laden with trials, but also with the promise of growth and sanctification. God's very presence would lead them as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Days turned to weeks, and with each passing moment, they followed the divine blueprint set forth by Moses. Then, one fateful day, the people began to grumble, their spirits dampened by the monotony of the manna that fell each morning. "What are we to do? Are there not better things than this bread from heaven?" They mourned, longing for the flavors of Egypt, forgetting the chains of their former lives. Moses, hearing the discontent, fell prostrate before the Lord. "O God, what shall I do with this people? They are drowning in despair, and I am but a servant." But the Lord spoke to him with unwavering certainty. Gather 70 of the elders, those appointed leaders among the people, and I will place my Spirit upon them. They shall bear the burden with you, and the complaints of the people shall be transformed into the songs of praise. Heeding the divine instruction, Moses called forth the elders, and as they stood waiting before him, the Spirit of the Lord descended upon them in a mighty rushing wind. They prophesied, praising God with voices imbued with authority and grace. Yet, even as the Spirit moved among them, jealousy flared within the hearts of some. Eldad and Medad, 2 among the 70, prophesied in the camp, and a report of this reached Joshua. My lord Moses, stop them! They are taking your place, he exclaimed, his voice filled with concern. But are you jealous for my sake? Moses replied with a gentle spirit. Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that he would put his Spirit upon them! And thus, amid the turmoil and transformation, Miriam stood as a beacon of hope and leadership, guiding the women of Israel in songs of praise and remembrance, her heart woven into the tapestry of God's sovereign plan. In the days that followed, the people began to remember their identity, their wholeness as God's chosen, reminded through Miriam's melodies that they were not merely wanderers but a treasured possession. They stood on the precipice of a divine unfolding. Yet throughout all these moments, an unsettling mystery loomed over them, a quiet whisper in their hearts, a flicker of prophecy that the journey ahead would not only shape their own destinies but would echo through generations, revealing that the path through the wilderness was indeed a deeper, greater purpose. What lay ahead awaited their faithful response, and would one day be the song of salvation for all nations. Moses, filled with the Spirit and the weight of leadership, set forth both a solemn and joyous task before the people of Israel. The newly inspired elders returned to their families, their hearts aflame with the knowledge of divine purpose. Daily, they gathered the community at the entrance of the tent of meeting, where the glory of the Lord shimmered like a beacon, drawing them closer to his presence. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with vibrant hues, a woman named Zipporah spoke up among the throng. Moses, her voice rang steadily, we feel the burden of our desire to worship. We do not know where to find the offerings the Lord requires. Teach us how to honor him. With attention rapt, Moses raised his hand to still the crowd. Bring what you have. The Lord seeks not vast riches but willing hearts. Let your hands be open, and whatever your heart compels, offer it unto him as a gift. Encouraged by his words, the people began to bring forth their belongings, gold earrings, fine linens, and bright dyes. Each precious thing was laid before the elders, who joyfully arranged them according to God's specifications. Under the watchful eyes of the faithful, the work on the sanctuary began. As they toiled, the sweetness of the Lord's presence enveloped them, wrapping their hearts with a holiness that transcended the weariness of their labor. Miriam, recognizing the sacred moment, took her tambourine and began to sing songs of worship. Her voice lifted high in the air, and other women joined, their hands clapping in rhythm, making melodies that rose to the heavens like fragrant incense. Then suddenly, a shadow fell over their joy. A figure emerged from the crowd, Korah, a Levite who saw an opportunity to divert the people's affections. Is it only through Moses and Aaron that God speaks? He challenged, bitterness tainting his words. All the assembly is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the congregation of the Lord? A hush fell across the people as eyebrows knitted in concern at Korah's rebellion. Moses' heart sank, knowing conflict could tear at the fragile unity of the chosen people. Hear me now! He called, his voice echoing with authority. If the Lord reveals something new, let him make it known. Korah's fervor did not cease. He stirred others to rise in dissatisfaction, whispering of grievances against appointed leaders. But God's hand was not absent. The ground began to tremble, and the earth opened wide, swallowing Korah and his conspirators into a swift judgment. The terrors of the Lord instilled reverence, and the people fell upon their faces, recognizing the holiness of their calling. In the aftermath, Moses turned to the people. Remember, for your hearts are prone to stray, and the Lord desires a sanctified place among you. The people nodded in solemn understanding, grateful for the reminder of their covenant. As days unfolded into weeks, the sanctum began to take shape, its beauty grounded in the spirit of unity and submission to God's covenant. Yet amid all these grand movements, Miriam made it her mission to share a new revelation she sensed in her spirit. There would come a time when the sanctuary would not be limited to a physical space but would be established in the hearts of God's people. And as Moses sat alone that evening, contemplating these divine events, a fresh word from the Lord broke through the silence. For I will raise a prophet like you from among your own people. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command. The promise hung heavy in the air, igniting curiosity and expectation within the children of Israel about the one who was yet to come, as the wilderness whispered secrets of redemption unknown, drawing their hearts toward a sovereign plan that will transcend time and space. As the days continued, the children of Israel delved deeper into the work of the sanctuary, their hearts united in reverence. Every offering brought forth was a testimony of their faith and commitment. The fabric of the tent shimmered with vibrant colors, each stitch a reminder of their covenant. Miriam, her heart ever tuned to the whispers of the Almighty, often gathered the women, imparting the songs the Lord had placed upon her lips. Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, the horse and rider he has thrown into the sea, she proclaimed, leading them in joyous refrain. The echo of her voice stirred hope within the hearts of many, a reminder of the miracles they had witnessed at the edge of the sea. Yet, as the sanctuary took form, doubt began to creep among the people. They spoke amongst themselves of the hardships yet to come, of their longing for the comforts of Egypt. "Did you hear what the spies reported?" one said. "The land flows with milk and honey, yet we see giants. We are but grasshoppers in their sight." Moses, keenly aware of the people's turmoil, sought guidance from the Lord. "O Lord," he cried, "how shall I lead this people? If you do not go with us, what hope do we have?" In the midst of his plea, the glory of the Lord enveloped him, and a voice resonated within him. "I will send you aid. Take courage, for your brother will join you at the mouth of the river, and together you shall lead." Days passed, and the people became restless. They gathered in the courtyard, pleading for direction. "Moses," they called, "do we wander forever without purpose? Let us know the future that lies ahead of us." Moses, seated before them with his staff in hand, raised his voice with authority and declared, "This day, we shall gather before the Lord. Prepare your hearts, for he will reveal his will." And as the people assembled, trembling with anticipation, a cloud descended upon the meeting place, thick with the presence of the Lord. The very air vibrated with divine energy, and silence fell, a sacred hush before the voice of the Almighty. "Fear not," came the voice from the cloud. "I have heard your cries, and I see your struggles. Your faith shall not be in vain, for I am renaming this place. It shall be called, The Lord is Among Us. Know that I am preparing a way for you, a path through the desert, leading to a land where you will flourish." A murmur of awe rippled through the gathered congregation as the promise swept over them, igniting hope once more. Each heart kindled with renewed vigor, and praise erupted like thunder among the people, as they realized they were part of a grander narrative, woven intricately by God. Yet, amid this fervent celebration, Miriam received a vision, a sacred message whispering of struggles to come and triumphs yet unknown. She shared it with Moses. "The Lord breathes not only comfort but calls us to conquer. Fear will rise again, yet we must stand firm in his promises." Moses nodded with solemn weight. "Yes, sister, we must remain steadfast as our journey unfolds. For it is not merely a land we seek, but communion with the living God." As night fell, the sanctuary sparkled under the starlit sky, a beacon amidst the wilderness. The Spirit stilled the air as the hearts of the people aligned with divine purpose. In that quiet moment, a prophetic word arose, a reverberation of God's overarching plan. "For I will send a deliverer who will lead my people not only from bondage but toward a relationship that knows no bounds. Watch, for the time is at hand." In the hushed reverence of the night, the foretelling of a new dawn ignited in their spirits, leaving them yearning yet confident, as God's sovereign plan beckoned from the horizon. As the dawn broke, illuminating the camp, the people of Israel awoke with renewed resolve. They began their day with songs of gratitude upon their lips, echoing the refrain of Miriam, a melody woven with faith and anticipation. Yet, amidst the chorus, A heavy silence lingered in the hearts of many as they remembered the visions shared by Miriam. Moses gathered the leaders of the tribes. Brothers and sisters, he spoke resolutely, let us not shrink from the challenges ahead. The Lord has promised to be with us, yet we must prepare our hearts and minds for the journey. The road is fraught with trials, but it is toward the land of promise that we march. As he spoke, Joshua stood among them, inspired and firm in his belief. We must be strong and courageous, he urged the people. For we will soon confront those who dwell in the land. But let us remember, the Lord fights on our behalf. The leaders nodded, stirred by Joshua's words, yet many remained apprehensive. They recalled the fear of their forefathers, who trembled at the sight of fortified cities and mighty warriors. Will our faith sustain us? One elder pondered aloud. Moses stretched forth his hands and said, the Lord has chosen us as his people. He shall fight for us. Understand this, his ways are higher than ours. He delights in our faith, even as we confront the giants that lurk in our path. The people listened intently, their hearts pulsating with a mixture of dread and expectation. It was then that Miriam stepped forward again, her spirit glowing like the rising sun. Hear me, O Israel! The Lord has revealed to me that every fear we harbor must be cast aside. The giants we face are nothing compared to the promise he has bestowed upon us. Trust in him, for he shall make a way where there seems to be none. The energy surged through the crowd, transforming uncertainty into fervor. Inspired by Miriam's declaration, they rallied, voices united in praise as their faith began to rise like a banner unfurled against the sky. Days turned into weeks, and the work on the sanctuary progressed with fervor. Yet, the lingering disquiet of the unknown weighed heavily upon their hearts, and the reality of their journey into the land of Canaan loomed closer. During one night of watching and prayer, as Moses sought direction in solitude, he received an unmistakable sign: the fire of God's presence ignited before him, a flame dancing yet unconsumed. In that holy moment, the voice of the Lord spoke, the time draws near. Prepare my people, they shall enter my promise. But first, they must know me as I truly am. Moses fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the gravity of the Lord's words. The realization of the coming trials was a burden he bore, yet what joy there would be in their arrival at the promised land. Filled with fear and hope in equal measure, Moses rose, feeling the weight of glory upon him. In the days that passed, the migration toward Canaan became more than a physical journey. It was a bonding of faith as God transformed their experiences into foundational truths. Each trial they faced became a lesson, each encounter with doubt surged with opportunities for trust. One morning, as they neared the banks of the Jordan, God commanded that the leaders of the tribes obtain stones from the riverbed. These stones shall be a reminder of my faithfulness, said the Lord, for a time is coming when generations will ask what they signify. You shall tell them of my mighty hand, how I raised you to walk upon the dry ground. As they laid their foundations, a profound understanding washed over the people. Their journey was not merely about land, but about a covenant, a divine relationship crafted through trials. Together, united in purpose and promise, they stood on the precipice of destiny. Miriam, observing the gathering anticipation, was seized by a new vision, a flicker of revelation reflecting in her eyes. Yet, she whispered softly, the Lord has more in store. There is a deliverance yet to be realized, a true awakening of hearts that will usher in His glory. And so, with the stones in place and hearts steadfast, they continued forward, knowing they were part of a greater narrative, one not only anchored in their survival but woven intricately into the tapestry of God's sovereign plan. For soon would come the moment when their faith and obedience would unlock a transformation beyond their understanding. As the sun ascended, casting golden rays upon the encampment, Moses called forth the elders and leaders of Israel. His voice, firm yet resonating with tenderness, pierced the morning stillness. Gather your families, for today we recount the mercies of the Lord. Let us reflect upon His guidance in the wilderness and His providence through every trial. The people gathered, their faces bright with anticipation. They formed a circle, enveloped by the whispering winds of the desert. In days of our forefathers, Moses began, when the cries of oppression filled the air, the Lord heard our pain. He called forth a deliverer, and with signs and wonders he led us out of Egypt. A murmur of agreement passed through the crowd, stories intertwining with hope and remembrance. Let us proclaim how he parted the sea, how he quenched our thirst from the rock, and how daily he poured forth manna from heaven. Great is the Lord, who does not abandon his people. As the testimony of God's faithfulness flowed, the spirit of unity strengthened among them. Miriam, her heart emboldened by the Holy Spirit, took her place beside her brother. Let us sing unto the Lord. For he has triumphed gloriously, the horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Following Miriam's lead, the people erupted into song, their voices harmonizing in a mighty chorus. The echoes of praise reached the heavens, and even the stones seemed to recount the miracles of the past. Yet, amidst their joy, shadows of doubt flickered at the edges of their hearts. In this land we approach, Joshua cautioned, standing resolutely. We shall encounter mighty foes. A land filled with giants and fortified cities awaits us. But do not fear. The Lord fights beside us. The assembly fell silent once more, a sea of troubled faces reflecting the struggle of faith. Moses, discerning their unease, lifted his hands in supplication. Though the giants loom before us, remember, the battles do not belong to us, but to the Lord our God. He held forth the stones they had gathered. These shall be our memorial. We shall tell our children of his power. Each stone in their hands gleamed with purpose, hinting at the future God had ordained. Yet Miriam sensed a deeper revelation, a flicker of profound understanding ignited within her. Remember this moment, she urged fervently. For as we cross the Jordan, we will not just enter a land, we will enter into a new covenant with the Lord. He will write our hearts anew. With her declaration, the air crackled with divine electricity. The people began to murmur, awestruck by the gravity of her words. What covenant awaited them on the horizon? What transformation would unfold within their hearts? As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows, the leaders felt the weight of expectation in the air. They stood on the brink of a new beginning, the soil of Canaan itself whispering promises yet unfulfilled. They sensed the Lord's purpose stirring among them, a call deeper than the conquest of lands, a summons to spiritual awakening and restoration. Moses, filled with fervor, proclaimed, "Behold, the Lord our God goes before us. He will clear the way." And as the people's hearts aligned with divine purpose, they knew the day of revelation approached. The essence of hope filled their souls, a tangible reminder of their divine heritage. Yet, in the stillness of evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the vast heavens, Miriam quietly pondered the fullness of what God was about to reveal. What awaited them beyond the river? What legacy would they leave for the generations to come? For a deeper truth loomed ahead, one that would alter their understanding of freedom and covenant forever. The moment of awakening was at hand, for God's sovereign plan was not merely for their survival, but for the flourishing of his covenant people, and the fulfillment of his eternal promise to all. As dawn broke over the encampment, the Israelites stirred, their hearts heavy with anticipation. The air was thick with unspoken fears, yet hope lingered as the people prepared to embark upon the path set by the Lord. Moses, his gaze penetrating and wise, summoned the assembly once more. "Hearken to the word of the Lord, O Israel! For today, we stand at the threshold of the promised land. But first, we must prepare our hearts and spirits. A new journey awaits us, one that demands our unwavering faith." The crowd's murmur intensified, a symphony of uncertainty. Yet, in the midst of their apprehension, Miriam stepped forward, the Spirit infusing her with courage. "Fear not. For the Lord has not abandoned us. He walks beside us like a mighty warrior. Let us remember his faithfulness in the face of our trials." Her voice rang with power, each word landing like a stone cast into still waters, sending ripples of reassurance throughout the assembly. Moses nodded at Miriam, recognizing the strength of her declaration. "Indeed, as we cast our eyes upon the Jordan, we must also remember the great multitude of souls who believe in his promises. We are not alone." He raised his staff, its wood gleaming in the sun, reminiscent of the miracle it had once wrought. "Let this staff be a sign of our covenant. As it divides the waters, so shall the Lord divide our fears and doubts." The people exchanged glances, some recalling the miracles of the past, the plagues, the parting of the sea, the daily gift of manna. Yet Joshua interjected, his tone grave. Let us prepare. The land flows with milk and honey, yet giants roam within its borders. We must sanctify ourselves, we cannot enter lightly. Holding fast to their leader's words, the assembly understood that entering Canaan required more than mere physical passage. The hearts of the people needed purifying, a laying down of old fears and a taking up of new faith. 3 days we shall prepare, announced Moses, consecrate yourselves. For the Lord will do wonders among us. The command ignited a fervor, and the Israelites rallied together, stirring with the urgency of new conviction. Fathers began to instruct their children in the ways of the Lord, mothers gathered to share the stories, and the atmosphere pulsed with collective purpose. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the encampment, Miriam felt a surge of prophecy welling within her. She turned her face toward heaven, praying earnestly that the hearts of the people would be ready for what the Lord was about to do. The enigmatic silence of God enveloped the camp, an indication of His divine presence. People huddled around fires, sharing tales of old about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and how God had been faithful through the ages. Yet there remained in their hearts a yearning for clarity. What would this new mandate from the Almighty entail? On the eve of crossing, as the moon hung bright, Moses gathered the leaders close. Each of you must take a stone from the Jordan. We shall build an altar, a reminder of what the Lord has done. And when our children ask, what do these stones mean? We shall tell them of His great works, of His unfailing love that guides us still. The people nodded with solemn agreement, their spirits intertwining with divine purpose. But even as the preparations unfolded under the celestial tapestry, amidst the shadows of unwritten futures, a stirring emerged in Miriam's heart. What if, she whispered to the night, what if the covenant we are to enter is beyond our understanding? What new revelation awaits us? And thus, as they readied for the passage into the unknown, a new mystery of God's eternal plan resonated in the air, one that awaited their faithful steps and illuminated their journey beyond the river. And so, at dawn's first light, the children of Israel stood poised on the banks of the Jordan, the waters rushing before them with a fierce current. The air thrummed with a sacred anticipation, as though the very ground beneath their feet trembled in readiness for the fulfillment of God's promise. Moses, his heart aflame with divine purpose, stepped forward, the staff of the Lord firmly in hand. Listen, O Israel! He declared, his voice resonating like a clarion call. Today, we witness the glory of the Lord. In but a moment, we shall cross over the Jordan, but we must keep holy the commands He has given us. A reverent hush fell over the crowd, each ear tuned to the weight of His words. As the people gathered close, Miriam stepped forth, her spirit radiant, her tambourine by her side a symbol of the joy and praise that would soon erupt anew. Sing to the Lord, for He has prepared a way. He is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. With her heart swelling, she could feel the echo of every song ever sung in her spirit, a melody that spanned the depths of their collective memory. Moses, sensing the spiritual fervor igniting within the assembly, knelt and offered a prayer to the Almighty, lifting his voice as a supplication for the people. O Lord, guide our steps through this sacred moment. Let your mighty hand divide these waters and lead us forth into the promise of the land flowing with milk and honey. The heavens responded with silence, holding its breath in anticipation, and as Moses rose, he turned to address the priests, those anointed to bear the Ark of the Covenant. Go forth, step into the waters. This day, let us see the might of our God. In unity, the priests obeyed, bearing the ark, the embodiment of God's presence, forward to the edge of the swirling waters. As their feet dipped into the river, the waters parted, cascading to either side like a divine curtain drawn back, revealing a pathway through the depths below. Gasps of awe escaped the lips of the people as the dry ground appeared before them, and they felt the tremor of history in the making. Crossing over, a contagious sense of wonder began to spread, heart to heart, igniting imaginations with the unfathomable possibilities of God's love and purpose unfolding. As families pushed forward, pressing through the miracle with faith burning brightly, Miriam began to sing. O Lord, let our hearts resound with songs of deliverance. For you have brought us forth, and we shall not fear the giants in our way. Her voice rang sweet and clear, catalyzing a symphony of praise among the multitude, a chorus that reverberated against the heavens as they stepped onto the other side. Yet, as they stood together in the promise of their new beginning, the weight of another shadow loomed on the horizon. The reality of growth through challenge would soon lay before them. Once across the river, Moses commanded the men to collect stones from the dry riverbed, a reminder of their deliverance, as the Lord had instructed. They gathered the stones, laying in them a foundation of remembrance, an altar that would stand as a witness to future generations. Here shall we tell the stories, Moses declared, of how the Lord moved mightily upon our behalf, establishing us as his chosen people. Days turned to weeks, and yet the uncertainty of what lay ahead began to stir restlessness within the hearts of the faithful. As they settled into their new surroundings, whispers of apprehension filled the air. We are but wanderers in this land. How shall we conquer the fortified city of Jericho? What strategy does the Lord have for us? Miriam, perceiving their fears, recalled the words the Lord had whispered to her in prayer: "Trust in the journey, for the promises are greater than the battles." Gathering the women, she spoke with fervor, "Remember, our strength is not in ourselves but in the mighty hand of the God who has led us here. He shall be our fortress, our shield against all that would stand in our way." One night, as the stars twinkled above like scattered jewels, Miriam sat in contemplation. She sensed the deep stirrings of something momentous, an impending promise that was yet to be revealed. As she considered the sacrifices, the struggles, and the faithfulness of God, the realization struck her: this journey was more than mere conquest. It was about a transformation of heart, a covenant that would bind not just the people but generations to come. "Lord," she whispered into the night, "what shall be the full expression of your promise? What revelation must we prepare ourselves to receive?" In the stillness, a voice echoed in her spirit, a promise yet to ring clear: "Prepare a people for himself, for a deliverer shall arise who will lead all nations, binding hearts forever in the love I offer." As the days unfolded, the people rallied together to solidify their new home, but ever present was the mystery that lingered, a divine purpose yet untold, waiting for the moment to manifest. The very steps they took, the very conflicts ahead, were all orchestral notes in the grand symphony of God's unfolding plan. What awaits beyond the horizon? Miriam pondered, the fire of faith burning within her, as she led her people. They stood primed for adventure, ready for trials, anchored by hope, yet craving the day of miracle upon miracle because they were destined for more than they could fathom. And so, through the wilderness, a journey of faith began, not just for Israel, but for the echoes of history itself cried out for the final unveiling. The moment had yet to come, but with every heartbeat there lay a question, a promise in waiting. What would be the legacy of those who dared to believe in a God whose plans were beyond their understanding? Through the veil of time, the answer awaited to unfold a divine mystery, the ultimate dance of grace, leading them to a future that would shake the very foundations of the world.